everybody. Today what I'd like to do is create a little character in Blender here. Oh, just a minute. It doesn't have the screencast. Let's see, 3D screencast. We don't need everything showing because I already have a screencast. Let me see, I think that's okay. Or, well, I don't really need to do that. Yeah, okay, we're good. Yeah, so here's the default layout in Blender, basically. I'm trying to think. Don't need that. Or yeah, sorry. That's what I was going to do is add a modifier to this, which is the subdivision surface. Set that at 3 so it rounds that cube out just a little bit, and then hit apply so that it keeps it that way. And then we'll scale it just a little bit on the x-axis so that it's not quite as wide. Let me see here. The screen keys, I'm trying to think. The screencast keys plugin that Blender comes with, like it's got a little bit of customization. You can do it's got a couple of settings in there that are nice, but it only shows the Alt and the Control and the Shift if you're actively pressing them with another key, like Alt F4 or something. I mean, that would close it, but if you hit Alt and then another key, then it would show the combination of the two. Like Alt Z, I believe, is or Alt Z, isn't that undo? I don't know. Or Control Z, I guess, is undo. But yeah, so it only shows the combinations. So what I did was I got this other little app that's called Key-Mon, and I'm not certain if it runs on other. I know it runs on Linux. They have it in the Synaptic Package Manager. And you could pick it up with apt-get. It's a Python app, so I'm certain it runs on Linux. Windows and Mac, you'd probably have to do a little bit of tinkering with to get it to run, but it's possible it runs on those as well. I couldn't say for certain. But the great thing about it is that it shows when you're holding a key. This is Control, and then there's Shift. Whereas the screencast keys that comes with Blender doesn't actually show when you're holding those buttons. So that's why I added this in for now. Enough about that. Let's get into our sculpting. Now with this, I usually just go with basically the defaults. The difference is I set the dynamic topography so that it'll automatically subdivide a surface that needs to be subdivided, and I set it for about usually like right about around 7. I've got it at 6.5 at the moment, which seems to be decent. The symmetrize, I don't know how you pronounce that, but symmetrize, it sounds like one of the dumbest made up words ever, but that is a key that you will need to keep track of, because sometimes when you're doing this, you might be carving into your sculpture, and let me think of how to describe it. describe it. The It might not have the two halves lining up. Like, I don't know how to make it do it. I know what it looks like when it happens. It's usually if you have a lot of detail in an area. Okay, here, and what I'm doing right at the moment is if I hold control down, it carves away. And if I hold shift down, then it softens it, it smooths it. It automatically brings up the smooth tool instead of what you're currently using. Like at the moment, I'm just using the regular. I don't know. I guess they just. Do they even have names for these? Okay, I've got it on Sculpt Draw. That's the one I usually use, and the way that I do the detail is I basically just zoom in and out. So the only two keys that I actually ever have to press are Shift and Control. So I've got one of those little tablets which makes it kind of nice, and with that I really only push to do the carving, and then I use the thumb button to do the rotating around my object. So it's extremely like you're just going at it, you know. You don't have to think about commands and all that. You're really just doing the carving without having to go into any menus or anything like that. See, I hold the shift button and I can move my object around, like move the camera view, and then if I hold control, then it actually lets me zoom in. And then when I push down on it instead of using the thumb button, then it does the carving. And if I can get more detail in the region, then you might see one of those I don't know, those errors is what I was about to say, but I guess it's not really important. I confuse the shift and the control a lot, so there's going to be moments when I press the wrong button, but that's not a big deal. Okay, see, when this is calculating the where to subdivide these, sometimes it might calculate it a certain way on the left side of it, but then on the right side it might do it another way, so they don't exactly line up. They're close, but I don't know, it's really hard to tell because basically Blender's done quite a bit better lately than it used to. Back in the day, like in the earlier versions of it, you had to use the recalculate button quite a bit more. Like these days it seems to be doing a whole lot better. But yeah, if you tap this symmetrize button, then it recalculates everything on, you know, the right side according to what data it already has on the left side, so it's an actual direct mirror of the object, whereas before sometimes they can, wow, that is wild. Sometimes they can get a little bit skewed. You know, I was actually intending to do more of a cartoon kind of face here. And I feel like I've made it a little bit more human than I really was going for. Just because I'm drawn on autopilot, I wasn't really thinking about it. I mean, which is, like, for everybody else, this would probably take quite a bit of thought, huh? I don't know, whatever. It's really just, after you've drawn for a while, it really is just doing. I think the trick is just being familiar with your tools too, because if you push harder on the tablet, then it carves deeper into the model as well. So I'm using a rather light touch for all of this. I hate doing the ears. They're really tough to do. Like, they wouldn't be so bad if there was an easier way to carve around the back of them. I think it's usually the back that, like this area right back here, that really wrecks it. And I guess really that is better than it was before as well. The carving tools have come along quite a ways. Like they give you pretty quick feedback. You do what you do, and your sculpture ends up reflecting your intention pretty quickly. Like, I'd imagine some of that might just be the speed of the computer, but it just feels like way better than it used to, even on, computers that aren't as, it doesn't need to be a brand new computer and you can still do this. Which is especially useful for like schools and such, because they don't always have brand new equipment. Like I could probably run this on just about anything and it would do okay. Because it's really not a matter of you're not using like a ton of processing power at the moment. A lot of this, let me think. I don't know. It's just all it's doing is like it's got basically a list of X, Y, Z coordinates that it's, you know, recalculating every time you draw. There'd be a list of X, Y, Z coordinates, and you're not really doing much more than that. And a computer can handle that pretty well. Like if you were doing something a little more elaborate, after you start adding in a ton of points, then it can bog down. If you know, I don't really need this display over here. I'm gonna symmetrize it again. I suppose I can optimize it. I don't know if that really does a whole lot. Let's yeah, if you tap T, it turns off that little pop-up window over there. And in fact, I don't really need this as well. I don't remember what button turns that off though. I know N pops up this little one here. I don't know. There's a way to do full screen is like F11, I think. But if I do that, then I probably wouldn't have my. Let's see. 3D view full. Maybe that. Alright. I wonder if it still lets me bring up. Yeah, okay, we're good. If you zoom out, then it puts a bigger mass on there. It's like, I'm trying to think how to explain that. Like the amount is determined by how far you're zoomed in. If you zoom in a lot, then it only adds a little bit in each time. Like if you were thinking of clay, then when you zoom out, you basically get like a big handful of clay at a time, whereas when you zoom in, you just get a little pinch of it. either. I'm undoing that. Alright, his... This is really goofy. As I said in the beginning, I had intended on making him kind of cartoony. Like, I suppose he doesn't even need like ears on the side. Like, we could do like cat ears or something. It's or a bear. Bears are cool. Like, I know that sounds goofy, but make them more like a panda. Because really, I was... Yeah, and if you hold down Control, it carves into the model. So that's the trick there. These could probably be bigger. When you do your sculpting, it adds the clay. If you're thinking of it as clay, it adds it towards you, which is really strange to get used to in the beginning. Because if this was an actual physical object, you wouldn't normally put the clay like directly in alignment. You'd often put it a little bit to the side, but with this, it's like I'm trying to think how to explain that. I mean, you can see what I'm talking about as I do it. The rotation can sometimes be a little tricky too. You get used to that over time, like as you play around with it. Let me see, I'm going to bring that symmetry thing back up. T toggles this side panel on and off. Let me see, what was it, symmetry? No, that's not it. Oh, which one was the one that automatically... Oh, it might be this. Yeah, here it is. Just make sure everything's symmetrical. Again. Alright, and we were going to make like a bearish kind of object, so I'm going to bring his, or it could be a fox, I don't know, something. Let's bring this out, make it more of a man, that is rough. It'll do better here in a minute though. suppose this would do better if I had had some kind of model to begin with, but really I'm just kind of winging it. That's like way too big. Let me smooth that out some. Just trying to make it bigger, but it can balloon pretty quickly. And yeah, see, like if this was an actual sculpture, you would be able to like have it face one way but add clay on from another side, whereas with this it's always adding it toward you. So you have to aim your view smooth this out. I know that's like really rough, but it's the trick is sometimes you make it a little bit bigger than you're aiming for and then you smooth it out. And then if it still is too big, then you can carve some of it away, but it's sometimes it's good to have a little bit extra on there. Just so that when you do your smoothing, it doesn't completely obliterate the object. Yes. Now, of course, it looks kind of, I don't know, it looks less cartoony and more kind of almost mean or something. I think it needs more of a smile, maybe. I don't know how to do that with this. We'll get there. Just carve that down a little so it's more upturned. It's a little better. hung in there. See, I could, like, if you set the polygon, I'm trying to think what they call that topography, if you set the detail size, if you set that higher, like say 12, then that would do okay for large, broad areas like say his cheek. What it does is it subdivides the surface so that the size of those the triangles or quadrilaterals or whatever it happens to be using. I think it's probably mostly triangles, but every once in a while I think in order to make things fit, it uses whatever it can. I don't know if all of them end up being triangles, but the point of my story is that if you use a bigger number, then it makes bigger triangles. So let's say you set this to 20, then it would end up making those triangles to that size. I think it's, yeah, I've got it on relative, so that's according to how far you are zoomed in. If you zoom out, then it would make them even bigger. If you set it to a smaller number, like 7, then you get more detail on it. And I like 7, right around there. If you go too high, if you went with a smaller number than that, then the polygon count jumps real quick, and you don't want your polygon count too high, or your computer would start lagging. Like areas that don't need as much detail, you could use a higher number on that if you want. I don't usually bother with changing the number. I really just set it and forget it. And then I get my the amount of detail by zooming. So if I zoom in on an area, then it gets more polygons in that region. And if I zoom out, then they end up being bigger, so let's see. Yeah, if you hold down shift, then it smooths it. And the trick is to just keep moving your object around so that you can see it from all different all the different directions. And you could like you could have another view, like a side view on here if you wanted to, instead of just 3D. I don't know, there's a way, I think it's just this. Or, no, that's not it, sorry. And let me go back to that. What was I on? Full view. over. There we go. That's what I was looking for. And then you can set this one with your numpad. You can set it to, you know, whatever view that you want it. Man, that is an ugly dog. I don't know what the hell it is, but let me zoom that one in. I don't even know what I'm doing. I'd mentioned a fox, so that's kind of what I was doing, but it's not. If I put fur on it, it would look okay. Like, I could do the fur render thing, and that would probably make it look pretty damn smooth, actually. But as it is right now, I just don't think it's cute. It's missing that kawaii factor. Which was kind of more what I was going for. But, you know, this really is like the first time I've done one of these, so whatevs. I wonder how this will end up, how the screencast will end up looking. I think like Blender has an automatic screencast function, and I could do it that way. I'm kind of surprised how quickly time flies when you're doing this, though. Like I had expected to be coloring by now. Man, that is tough. Alright, yeah, it's doing a little better. That actually looks, just smoothing those ears out actually helped quite a bit. Lost the, there we go. Yeah, and another thing is when you have your fingers, you know, control shift and then Z is right there as well, so undo is real easy. Like when I'm painting, I usually, I think one of my buttons is actually set to undo, or at least it was. I might have changed it. It's getting there. I think if I shrunk this down, it might be a little cooler. Like cartoons, for whatever reason, always have, like not always, but often have tiny necks. I guess to accentuate the big, like the round, how round their head is. Let's see. Yeah, that's a little better. This could be smoothed out more, and if I zoomed in a whole lot, then it would give me that detail to make it smooth, like more rounded around the edge. Because otherwise it'd be a little bit jagged. Which probably isn't that big of a deal, but it would probably make the final render look a little smoother. Let me see. Alright, then we zoom out and we get bigger. Fill in bigger areas. I hadn't decided if this guy's got, if he's two-legged or four. guess I'll save them. Alright, trying to think. The trick with the camera. Oh wait, what did I do? Oh yeah. Is it F or is it 7? Which I forget which one. 0. There it is. And then if you do N to bring up your little panel, and then set it so that camera lock to camera view. Alright, let's set our camera our scene size is what I'm trying to think of. We'll set this for, I don't know, X. We'll set that to 600. We'll set this to 800. Oops, what did I do? I said 100, but it already had 50 on there, so. I feel like that camera's too close. Yeah, most definitely. Let's see, scale, translate, or no, what do they call it? Scale, rotate, and, oh, what the hell's the button for scooting things around? Scale, rotate, and, I don't know, is it move? No, let's move to layer. What the hell is the button? I forget. Oh, jeebus. I'm pretty sure you can just grab that widget. Yeah. Alright, let's try I don't know. It's not what I'm thinking. Why is it that's like way too big? Resolution 600 for the width and the rendered image. See, this is, I don't think that even has to do with. think F11 does the render. Or no, is that right? F11, F12? Yeah. I might not have lights set up. There's probably only one light in the scene. I think we can just Control C and copy it. And then what's the trick? Translate? Or no, I forget. Rotate, scale, and zoom? Or no. C is G for grab, that's what it was. Wait, what did I do? I thought Control C is copy, right? Or you gotta paste it. Control V to paste. Alright, and then we can jump back to our camera. And then render scene. I don't know, it's not bad. I think this could be smaller. The lower jaw could be smaller, and then they could, if I put teeth in there, it actually wouldn't be that bad. Like at the moment, it's okay. I'm trying to think which one's texture. Oh, I think it's this. Or wait, I'm on camera. That's why. There it is. And then set it up with a new material. I like the subsurface. We can just do like, I don't know, we'll try skin 2. And let's render it. I'm thinking of putting a 4th light in, something that's down a little lower. Oh, and in fact, I want to put it on smooth shading as well. Let me stop this for a moment. T. That might be in object mode. Yeah, smooth shading. There we go. Maybe I'm mistaken, but I think that smooths it in the final render too. Yeah, okay, just a moment. Let me put in a 4th light. Okay, lamp. Wait a minute, what did I just do? I just moved the camera, didn't I? or yeah, 0. 0 turns off the camera mode, and then we can do one more lamp. We'll just do a Control C, and then let's paste again, Control V, and then grab it, drag it over here just a little bit, and then make sure that it's scooted in a downward fashion, like down here somewhere. That's fine. And we jump back to our camera. Now we'll try our render. Yeah, that lower jaw is like way too big, but I'll screw around with it later. I wish this was a little faster. It runs faster on my other computer, but the power supply in that one's dead, so I'm using an old computer here to do this. It still does okay, it's just not fancy. This would probably do better if, it would look better if I threw fur on there, and I could. I might actually, there's a trick for you paint the areas that you want it to have fur. Set those as the, like the fur emitter regions. Yeah, I don't know. I suppose I could pause this and come back to it. It would probably run faster if it wasn't doing the screen capture. In fact, I'm certain of it. That probably kills the render time. But yeah, that's a basic idea. It doesn't look that bad. Certainly use more detailed eyes, and that's something when you zoom, they'll carve those out. Eyeless, that bottom slide. It still has some wrinkles on the like on these the edges there, you can still see wrinkles on that, and that's probably something I'd smooth out some. Like this, there's a bump there that I'd smooth out.